Chapter 3, Mishnah 11. The Mishnah deals with cases where it is unclear whether one must pay damages at all, or it is unclear how much he must pay. In situations of this type, the rule is the burden of proof rests on the one who wants to take payment from his fellow. According to this rule, the person claiming to have suffered damage, who is the one seeking payment, cannot collect unless he proves that his claim is true. One person's ox was chasing another person's ox, and the ox being chased was found injured, but it was not known what caused the injury. The owner of the injured ox says, "Your ox did the damage." But the owner of the chasing ox says, "No, not so. Rather, your ox became injured by pushing itself against a boulder." We apply the standard rule. The burden of proof rests on the one who wants to take payment from his fellow. Thus, the owner of the injured ox cannot collect payment from the owner of the chasing ox unless he proves that the damage was indeed done by the chasing ox. A related case. There were two oxen, each owned by a different person, chasing one ox, which is owned by a third person, and the chased ox was injured by one of the first two oxen, but it is not known which one. The owners of the two chasing oxen disagree about which animal inflicted the injury. This one says your ox did the damage, and this one says your ox did the damage. Both of them are exempt from having to pay, unless proof is brought that the damage was done by a particular ox. However, if both of the chasing oxen belong to one person, both of them are obligated. That is, the owner of the two chasing oxen is obligated to pay, since the animal that did the damage certainly belongs to him. The Mishnah presents two more cases in which both of the chasing oxen belong to the same person. In the first case, both of them are tamim. There was one large ox whose value would cover the half-damage payment, and one small ox whose value was less than the half-damage payment. The victim says the large one did the damage, in which case he would be entitled to the entire half-damage payment. But the damager says not so, rather the small one did the damage, in which case he would not have to pay more than the value of the small ox. A similar case is where one of the chasing oxen was a tam and one was a muad. The victim says the muad did the damage, in which case he would be entitled to full damages, no matter how much the damaging ox is worth. But the damager says not so, rather the tam did the damage, in which case he would not have to pay more than the value of the damaging ox. In both of these cases, we apply the rule: the burden of proof is on the one who wants to take payment from his fellow. Thus, the victim cannot collect payments unless he proves that it was the large ox in the first case or the muad ox in the second case that did the damage. In the following two cases, two oxen owned by one person injured two oxen owned by one person, but it is not known which ox inflicted the injury. There were two injured oxen, one large and one small, and there were two attacking oxen, one large and one small, both of them tamim, and the small attacking ox is worth less than half the damage to the large injured ox. The victim says the large one injured the large one and the small one injured the small one. But the damager says not so, rather the small one injured the large one and the large one injured the small one, in which case he would not have to pay the entire half-damage payment for the large injured ox, but only as much as the small attacking ox is worth. A similar case is where one of the damaging oxen was a tam and one was a muad, and the tam is worth less than half the damage to the large injured ox. The victim says the muad injured the large one and the tam injured the small one, in which case the damager would have to pay for the entire damage to the large ox. But the damager says not so, rather the tam injured the large one and the muad injured the small one, in which case he would not have to pay the entire half-damage payment for the large ox, but only as much as his tam ox is worth. In both of these cases, we apply the rule: the burden of proof rests on the one who wants to take payment from his fellow. Thus, the victim cannot collect payment unless he proves that the injury to his large ox was inflicted by the large ox in the first case, or by the muad ox in the second case.